Hey everybody, what is up? My name is Jen, and today we're going to be talking about one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're singing. Doesn't matter whether you're just starting out or you've been singing for years, so many people make this mistake. Now, I'm sure that most of you have heard at some point in your lives that in order to sing well, you have to take deep breaths. And while this concept is true in theory, the process of focusing on taking deep breaths actually isn't as helpful as so many in the music industry have made it seem. Reason being, if you focus on taking a deep breath, you're most likely going to fall into one of these two categories. The first is, if someone tells you to take a deep breath, you do something that looks kind of like this. Now, I don't know if we saw all the details of what happened there, so we're gonna look at that again a little bit closer. Chest is out, shoulders are up, the larynx is being crushed by your chin, and the worst of all is you've got this loud, audible, gasping sound. But on top of that, the most problematic thing with this kind of breath is that it's not going to give you any of the support that you need. Let's have an example of that, shall we? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Wow, that's hard. I haven't breathed like that for a long time. And while that might kind of work for a really short phrase like that, the reality is that my notes were breathy, and in the end, I felt like I had no air left in the tank, even though I wasn't singing for very long. That's not very sustainable if you want to sing something a little bit more complicated. But maybe you've already learned not to take shallow breaths. Then you probably land in category number 2, which is that you focus mainly on breathing with your diaphragm. I'm not saying that breathing with your diaphragm is wrong. It's definitely a major part of what we do when we sing. What I'm saying, however, is that thinking about it really isn't helpful. I mean, unless you really remember all of your high school biology, or you're a doctor or something and you've got a great concept of human anatomy, most of us don't even know where the diaphragm is in our body, let alone how to use it. And if we're focusing so much on trying to figure out how to use this muscle that is the diaphragm while we're singing, it's gonna be more distracting than anything. In summary, focusing on taking deep breaths while you're singing is kind of like focusing on a pothole when you're driving. You want to be a good driver and avoid the pothole, but by thinking so much about the pothole, you're inevitably going to drive into it. So what's the answer? What do we do instead? Well, rather than thinking about taking a deep breath, I want you to focus on one very tiny little thing, and that's your belly button. This will probably again be easier if I give you an example. When we pull our belly button in towards our spine, air naturally comes out of our bodies. And this is what happens when we're singing. Then when you run out of air, or it's an appropriate place to take another breath, all you need to do is just release the tension in your stomach muscles, or let go of your belly button. And when you do that, air naturally rushes back into your body in a deep, silent, and quick, effective way. This essentially is how you control your diaphragm, but you're not thinking about it so much. All you're thinking about is moving your belly button in and releasing. You don't even need to think about taking a breath at all. Let's have another example then, shall we? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And there you have it, a deep, effective breath without even thinking about breathing. By thinking about your belly button, you're gonna have all the support you need to sing those super high notes, or those really long, complicated phrases, or those raps that have like a million words in them that only give you like 0.3 seconds to breathe somewhere in there. This one tiny little technique is gonna propel you so much further in whatever genre you wanna pursue. That's it for today. If you want to see more videos like this, hit that like button, subscribe, and tell your friends about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.